When the world is quiet, God speaks the loudest. Those words hold profound truth. There's a reason why in the silence of the early morning between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. you find yourself awake. It's not random. It's not just your body stirring or a coincidence of your sleep cycle. It's something greater. It's a divine moment, an invitation, and a calling. God is speaking to you, and He's chosen this sacred time to do so. Think about it. At this hour, the world is still. The noise, the chaos, the distractions, they're all at rest. This is the time when the clutter of the day hasn't taken over your mind. Your phone isn't buzzing, the demands of work and family haven't pulled at you, and the only sound you might hear is the rhythm of your own breath. In this stillness, there is clarity, and in that clarity, God whispers, "Rise, I've got something for you." This is no ordinary time. The hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. have long been recognized as sacred, a spiritual gateway where the physical world and the divine are more connected. Many spiritual traditions call this the hour of the soul, a time when your spirit is most open, most receptive. If you find yourself awake during this time, don't dismiss it as chance. It's a sign that there's work to be done, a purpose to be fulfilled, and a message to be received. How will you renew your mind, your body, your spirit? When God wakes you up at this hour, He's reminding you of something important. You have a purpose. You were put on this earth for a reason, and He's given you gifts, talents, and a calling that are uniquely yours. But here's the truth. It's easy to lose sight of that purpose in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. We get caught up in the grind, in the worries and the deadlines, and we forget to listen. We forget to seek. We forget to connect with the one who gave us our purpose in the first place. That's why these early morning wake-ups are so powerful. They're a reset, a chance to realign yourself with God's plan for your life. It matters more that you believe the right choice. That's why the inmates tell me that they write down their plan in the morning and often read it before they went to work. That's why these early morning wake-ups are so powerful. You might wonder, why can't God just speak to me at a more convenient time? Why not during my lunch break or while I'm driving to work? But think about it. When else are you this open, this undistracted? When else can you hear the whispers of your soul without the noise of the world drowning them out? This is a time set apart, a time that God has chosen to meet with you because He knows it's when you're most ready to listen. Now here's the thing about listening to God. It's not always easy. Sometimes, when you wake up at 3 a.m., the temptation is to roll over, pull the covers up, and go back to sleep. You tell yourself, it's nothing, I'll deal with it in the morning. But that's where we miss the point. God isn't calling you to comfort, He's calling you to growth. He's calling you to step into something bigger, something greater. And that kind of calling doesn't come at a convenient time. It comes when you least expect it, when you're most unprepared, because that's when faith steps in. Everything has come together for this moment, and things are going. Faith is what gets you out of bed at 3 a.m. when every part of you wants to stay in the warmth of your blankets. Faith is what drives you to sit in the quiet, to open your heart, and to ask, God, what are you trying to tell me? And let me tell you, when you ask that question, you better be ready for the answer, because God doesn't waste time. He's not waking you up just to make you uncomfortable. He's waking you up because there's something He needs you to do, something He's prepared you for, something that only you can accomplish. And maybe He's calling you to pray for yourself, for someone you love, or for someone you've never met. Maybe He's giving you a vision, planting a seed of an idea that will grow into something extraordinary. Maybe He's reminding you of a dream you've put on the shelf, a dream you've been too afraid to pursue. Or maybe, just maybe, He's asking you to be still, to sit in His presence and trust that He's working, even when you don't see it. Whatever the reason, don't ignore the call. Don't let fear, doubt, or fatigue keep you from stepping into what God has for you. Remember, this isn't about convenience, it's about obedience. And obedience to God always leads to blessings, even if you don't see them right away. When you wake up at 3 a.m., It's a chance to connect with God in a way that you can't during the day. It's a chance to hear his voice, to feel his presence, and to receive his guidance. It's a chance to lay your burdens at his feet, to pour out your heart, and to be renewed. And in those moments, you'll find strength, clarity, and peace that can carry you through whatever challenges come your way. But it's not just about what you receive, it's also about what you give. When God wakes you up, he's giving you an opportunity to give back to him, to give him your time, your attention, your love, to show him that you trust him, that you're willing to put him first, even when it's inconvenient. And that kind of devotion doesn't go unnoticed. God sees your sacrifice, and he honors it. So the next time you find yourself awake in the early hours of the morning, don't dismiss it. Don't roll over and go back to sleep. Instead, see it for what it is, a divine appointment. Get up, open your Bible, pray, reflect, listen, and most importantly, trust that God is working in your life in ways you can't even imagine. You see, waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. isn't just about you. It's about the people you're going to impact, the lives you're going to change, the purpose you're going to fulfill. God is preparing you for something bigger, something greater. And it all starts with that simple act of faith, that decision to say, yes, Lord, I'm here, I'm listening. So rise up, my friends, answer the call. Step into the quiet and let God speak. Because when the world is quiet, God speaks the loudest. And what he has to say to you is worth every lost hour of sleep. Trust me, your purpose is waiting. This expanded speech carries the heartfelt delivery and inspiring tone reminiscent of Denzel Washington. Let me know if you'd like further refinements. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., something extraordinary happens. You're stirred awake, eyes opening in the darkness, and for a moment, you wonder why. You glance at the clock, thinking it's just a coincidence, or maybe your body's way of betraying your rest. But let me tell you something. There are no coincidences when it comes to God. This is a divine moment. It's as if God himself is saying, hey, it's time. Wake up. I've got something important for you. At first, it might feel inconvenient. You might roll over, grumble to yourself, or fight to fall back asleep. But let me ask you this. How often in your busy day do you give God your undivided attention? Between the work deadlines, the family obligations, and the constant noise of the world, when do you sit in silence and just listen? That's why God chooses these early hours. This is when the world is quiet, your soul is still, and he can reach you without distraction. Now I want you to think about what happens when the world sleeps. It's the time of day when most people are in their deepest slumber, but God has chosen you to wake up. That's not a small thing. That's a calling. Because in these sacred hours between the darkness and the dawn, God is working on something in you. He's pulling you aside out of the busyness because he needs you to hear him. He needs you to focus. He needs you to prepare. When God wakes you up, he's not just disturbing your rest. He's planting a seed of purpose. He's saying, this is the hour when dreams are born, when clarity comes, and when strength is renewed. You see, this is not just about waking up physically. It's about waking up spiritually. It's about opening your heart and mind to what God is trying to do in your life. It's about opening your heart and mind and living a life that reflects his presence. It's about greatly appreciating and being in line with God's true and lawful purpose and design for your life. Maybe you're at a crossroads. Maybe you're carrying a burden that feels too heavy to bear, or maybe you've been praying for guidance, for a sign, for a breakthrough. Well, this is it. This is your moment. God is saying, I hear you, I see you, and I'm going to give you what you need. But first, I need you to meet me here. You want to reach forward again? Reach for help, reach for guidance, reach for peace, reach for love, reach for peace, reach for peace, and for more. And meeting God in these hours requires faith. It requires surrender. It requires you to set aside your own plans, your own timeline, and trust that his timing is perfect. You might not understand why he's waking you up now, but let me tell you, God doesn't operate on our schedule. He doesn't wait for when it's convenient. He calls you when the time is right, and that time is now. So what do you do when you're awake at 3 a.m.? You listen. You pray. You reflect. You let God speak to your heart. Maybe He's calling you to pray for someone you love. Maybe He's asking you to let go of something that's been holding you back. Or maybe He's planting a vision in your heart. A vision for something bigger, something greater than you ever imagined. Whatever it is, know that it's intentional. God doesn't wake you up to waste your time. He's preparing you, strengthening you, and equipping you for what's ahead. Now let's talk about obedience, because when God calls, you have a choice. You can ignore it, roll over, and go back to sleep. Or you can rise up and say, "Yes, Lord, I'm here." That choice isn't always easy. It's tempting to stay comfortable, to put it off, to tell yourself you'll deal with it in the morning. But let me remind you of something. Greatness doesn't come from comfort. Purpose doesn't unfold on your terms. It comes when you step out in faith, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. Think about the people who have achieved great things, whether in their faith, their careers, or their personal lives. They didn't get there by playing it safe. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They answered the call when it came, no matter what time it was, no matter how unprepared they felt. And that's what God is asking of you. He's asking you to trust Him enough to step into the unknown, to believe that He has something extraordinary waiting for you on the other side. But let me tell you something else. This isn't just about you. When God wakes you up at 3 a.m., it's not just for your benefit. It's for the people you're going to impact. It's for the lives you're going to touch. You might not see it now, but your obedience in this moment has a ripple effect. Your willingness to answer the call could be the difference in someone else's life. Someone who's depending on you to step into your purpose. And let's not forget the power of prayer in these moments. When you're awake in the stillness of the night, that's when prayer becomes more than just words. It becomes a lifeline. It becomes a conversation with the creator of the universe, the one who knows you better than you know yourself. In those moments, you have the opportunity to lay everything at His feet, your fears, your doubts, your dreams, and let Him guide you. So the next time you find yourself awake in the early hours of the morning, don't fight it. Don't see it as an inconvenience. See it as a gift. See it as God saying, "I've got something for you. I need you to listen. I need you to trust me." Because when you do, you'll find that those moments are some of the most powerful, the most transformative, and the most meaningful in your life. Rise up, my friends. Step into the quiet. Lean into the stillness. And let God speak to your heart. Because when He wakes you up at 3 a.m., it's not just to disrupt your sleep, it's to change your life. And if you're willing to answer that call, I promise you, you'll never be the same. Let me tell you something, my friends. When God wakes you up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it's not an accident. It's an invitation. An invitation to step away from the noise of the world, to lean into the stillness, and to meet Him in a place where clarity is born, purpose is revealed, and strength is renewed. These moments are sacred, not because they're convenient, but because they're divine. And the only way we're sacred, and only way we're convenient, but because they're divine. You have a choice every time that stirring wakes you in the night. You can roll over, pull the covers up, and dismiss it as nothing. Or you can rise. Rise with faith, rise with expectation, and rise with the belief that God is working on something greater in your life. This isn't about losing sleep. It's about gaining perspective. It's about finding the courage to say, "Yes, Lord, I'm here," even when you don't understand what He's doing. Because let me tell you something, God doesn't call you to the easy path. He calls you to the right path. He calls you to the path of growth, purpose, and transformation. So the next time you wake in the quiet hours, remember this: God is not done with you. He's waking you up because there's more for you to do, more for you to become, and more for you to give. He's waking you up because he sees something in you that you might not see in yourself yet. Answer the call, step into the silence, trust the process, and know that when you do, you're not just changing your life, you're stepping into the life that God has been preparing for you all along. The world may be asleep, but you are awake, chosen, and called for a purpose. Now is the time. Now is your moment. Rise up and let God lead the way.